The Extra Point with Ryan Justice is sponsored by The Phone Medic. For the best in cell phone, tablet, or laptop repairs, The Phone Medic is the only choice for you. The Phone Medic also offers gaming PCs and laptops for both gamers and everyday users. Visit one of the 3 Phone Medic locations in Amarillo, Canyon, and their new location in Lubbock today. Hello, football fans! Welcome to The Extra Point with Ryan Justice. How's it going, everybody? Week 3 is in the books. I'm Ryan Justice, your host. This is Tuesday night, which means that we are... Well, I've lost words, apparently. Welcome to The Extra Point, everybody. What a week 3. We had a lot to talk about. finding out who some teams are, finding out who some teams still need to be. Just wow. I mean, a lot of craziness happened. A lot of craziness last night. In case you saw the doubleheader of Monday night games, got a lot to talk about. Got some teams that we are very much curious about as far as where they're going to go. We still have some 3-0 teams, some undefeated teams. How's it going, Hunter? Yeah, had a little had some wrestling match. A little bit of a no rope bare knuckle match over the weekend, but all good. You know, you should see the other guy. But on that note, we're gonna go ahead and bring in our co-host. Welcome back, the one and only Andrew Martinez. Andy, how's it going tonight?
Good, good. Thanks for let me come back. I had to take a week off, but yeah, man, I'm excited. This man, what a 3 weeks it has been. I mean, definitely some stories that was not expecting when we did our previews. You know, who would have thought we'd be where we're at 3 weeks in this way?
Yeah, there's definitely been some surprises coming into the third week of the NFL season. Man, dude, like we'll go ahead and get right into hot topics. First one, man, the Minnesota Vikings. Boy, they are absolutely on fire and looking like one of the scariest teams in the league. Sam Darnold is having a career renaissance under Kevin O'Connell. Brian Flores, same thing. I mean, a lot of people are saying, man, Flores might be coaching himself into a head coaching job soon.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's really shown these last 3 weeks. I think, the first week you're like, okay, they're not playing a great team in the Giants. And then, then they come in, they beat San Francisco, then they beat Houston. Like, man, they are a team that is, I mean, shutting it down. Their defense is just killer. Their offense is firing. I think they're on it. They're just unstoppable right there. They are the top of the league at the moment for sure.
Yeah, the Vikings are definitely looking like one of the better teams in the league right now. And I mean, they're 3-0. They are they're actually one of the more fun teams to watch. You know, they've got one of the best defenses in the league. Aaron Jones is playing really well. Sam Darnold seems to be connecting with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And they're dominating teams that you didn't think that they would be dominating. Now, don't get me wrong, some of those teams have had injury issues. Some of those teams are still trying to find their chemistry. But the Vikings are showing up when it matters the most, and they're getting it done. And they're sitting on top of the NFC North right now.
Yeah, I think it shows also that, now that, they have a coach who, is really working with Darnold, like, man, there's all been lots of talk around the league of, other teams liked him. I just don't think he had a chance to really show out, and have the opportunity in the past to show what he could do. And man, they've really figured that out. And I mean, man, they are really they're looking real strong.
And they've got a huge test this week in the division against the Packers. But I mean, I don't want to crown them just yet. I don't want to sit there and say they're Super Bowl favorite because it is still Sam Darnold. We've seen the Vikings kind of fall apart at the end of the year before, but for now, man, they are a scary, scary team out of the NFC.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Going on, so Dallas loses at home again. They get down big again. They almost come back, but they almost come back. But the Ravens managed to actually not blow a big lead in this game and beat the Cowboys 28-25 at home. Um, I mean, I like to mention it. I know I got a lot of side eyes when I said Dallas could go 6-11 this year, but these last 2 weeks have been prime examples of why I was thinking that.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. I mean, you can't start off that slow and expect to magically come back at the end. Don't get me wrong; they scored, they scored 19, I think, in that, something like that in that fourth quarter to try to make it come back. But man, you're down so far, you're gonna let Henry and Lamar just hold on to that lead. It just shows that I don't know if they're that team who's gonna get ahead and not have to try to come back every time.
Yeah, that's the thing. There, the game that they won, they got ahead and stayed ahead, which has been the typical Cowboys MO for the last few years is Dallas plays from ahead. And if they get behind early, then they kind of fall apart. And that's what has happened the last 2 weeks. is, Dallas, the Saints got way ahead on them, and then Baltimore built a pretty nice lead. But before they kind of rested on their laurels, it was going to kind of be a test of who was going to fall apart first in that game. But I mean, like I said, I don't see Dallas being built for the long run of this season. I don't see Dallas being built to, be what they thought they were going to be. Lost Andy's video for a second. You still there on audio, Andy? Lost him for a second. Okay. But yeah, just I don't see Dallas being just a team that's going to be able to finish, just being a team that's going to be able to get it done when they get down. They still have the problem of, I know technically they beat a playoff team last year, but that was a playoff team that's falling apart and has a bunch of their own problems. They go up against the Saints, who were pretty much half a game back out of getting into the playoffs last year, and then they lose to Baltimore, who was in the AFC Championship this past season. So, Cowboys lose at home. Something to watch if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Definitely would be worried. And honestly, with the way the Giants played on Sunday, there's Andy again. With the way the Giants played on Sunday, I would definitely be worried about what's going on with the Cowboys. Andy, you got any thoughts? Any other thoughts on what might lie ahead for these Cowboys?
Man, if they can't get it together, I think it really shows not only, the conversation that people have had about McCarthy, but also like, again, you had Jerry Jones, who should have signed these guys, should have signed Lamb early in the season, shouldn't have waited till the hour before to sign Dak. Have all this, he could have spent money elsewhere. He could have figured out, how to pay guys and then, figure out maybe some more weapons for him. But yeah, I think it's really shown that I don't, they have these, they have a couple guys, but I just don't know if they can get it together, man. It's looking pretty rough for him for sure.
I think the part that hurts the most is you had Derrick Henry kind of publicly saying, "Hey, I was waiting on Dallas to call," and then he goes and drops 151 on him, and then Jerry's in the back saying we couldn't afford him when I believe they had ample amount of cap space in free agency. They had plenty of cap space to sign both Dak and CeeDee Lamb. And I don't believe Derrick Henry went for more than like $12 million for a year. Like he was very gettable for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that really shows that, like, again, he says that no one can do what he does. I mean, maybe he's right. Maybe no one can lose like he's losing and be as inconsistent, but it's just with all everything looking, pretty good for him, man, these last two showings have not been great.
No, not at all. And we'll see how they do Thursday night when they go on the road to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Giants. Not next up on Hot Topics, Jaden Daniels, man, staying in the NFC East. Boy, did he light it up last night. Now, I know it was against a Cincy team that was just that has kind of been on skis as of late, but this team found a way to get it done against the Giants last week with the field goals that they kick. They go into a Cincy team. They go in and play Joe Burrow, who was not playing bad. The off T. Higgins was in there. Jamar Chase was playing a good game. They had the new rookie running back that they had. He was getting going. He had some good runs from Zach Moss. The defense wasn't up to snuff, but man, Jaden Daniels was just making every throw in the book last night.
Well, again, I think it shows that, like, hey, this is, I think they said since the 40s, this is the first time that there wasn't a turnover or a punt in a game. I don't think, I think I saw that Washington hasn't, the last time they punted was week 1. So they went two full games without punting. So I think that really, I think that really shows you where they're at. I think, I think they have a very solid, grassroots football kind of play style. And man, they're really showing that it's effective. It's getting them downfield and it's getting points.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at it and I go back to what we said at the beginning of the year, that Washington could be a scrappy 7-10
team in the NFC East and could be in some games that not a lot of people thought that they were going to be in. I get Cincy likes to start slow, but you would have thought that this might have been more of a get right game for the Bengals than it was for the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, since he needed it more than any, I mean, I think since he needed it way more than them for sure to start off to see, a team like that, a former Super Bowl team like 0-3 to start. I understand, they had the injuries last year trying to get Burrow back and stuff, but man, not a good start for Cincy for sure. Not a good start at all.
No, not yeah. Cincy's another team that's very much on skis. Going to our game reactions. So, we started off Thursday night. We had the Jets and the Patriots. Speaking of get right games, we asked last week in buy or sell. While you were out, did we underestimate the Patriots? And I think that question got answered pretty swiftly against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets.
Yeah, I think so. I think it really showed. I mean, him and I think you saw Rodgers and Salah really like connect on what plays they wanted and how they wanted to execute. And man, Rodgers was looking good against that team. So I think it's a good game for him to really like get in a good rhythm of, okay, this is the kind of football I want to play.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it is Rodgers has gotten better week after week after week. And I believe they had was the win last week against the Titans where Rodgers, you saw him still kind of shaking off some of the rust. You also had then you had the game this week where Rodgers, okay, it started to look like Rodgers was really firing, and the Patriots don't have a bad defense. And the Patriots were looking like a team, okay, they pushed 3-0 Seattle, now 3-0 Seattle to overtime last week. And you thought, okay, this might be a game where one of these two teams is going to make a statement, and it looked like the Jets made a louder statement than the Patriots did.
Yeah, I think, with the Jets, I mean, I think they had just right about 400 yards, total offense. So they really showed, the holes in that in that young New England defense. And I just think that, man, they looked solid. They're like, oh, okay. I think
There's
you
the
really
Jets we
saw.
thought we were going to get.
Yeah, I think that's that too. I think we really saw what the mystical we could have seen last year. Obviously, if
Mhm.
Rodgers hadn't gotten hurt, now he's starting to gel with the Robert Saleh, what he wants to call it, how he wants to play. So, man, it looked good for Rodgers and the whole overall for the Jets. I think they allowed what on 100 under 150 yards.
Yeah. On the flip side about it now you got the conversation being started about the Patriots starting Drake May, pulling Jacoby Brissett. I still think it's a little early. You kind of ran into a Jets team that was gaining some steam. The Patriots, I believe they don't. I still think that they could get it done. They got it done the first. I don't. They were 1-1 through the first couple weeks, but looked a lot better than a lot of people thought they were. They're going up against a banged up San Francisco team this week. So I don't know if that's the time you want to start Drake May, because I feel like you put him out there and San Francisco might kill him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, I think you should, stick with what you have. Maybe, see how Brissett does for a couple weeks. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a little early to start being like, hey, we got to make these drastic moves now for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, May's going to start this year. I think everybody going into that knew that Jacoby Brissett was just going to be a placeholder. And now you've got the debate about, okay, whether you should or shouldn't sit a quarterback with the Bryce Young conversation, the Bo Nix conversation, and then versus, what's going on with Jaden Daniels, what happened with CJ last year. For me, it depends on the situation. I think the longer Drake May kind of sits and absorbs and sees what the game is like, I think the better equipped he's going to be once he gets into the game. And I'm not saying no one's going to be the next Tom Brady, but I think, if the Patriots are out, I don't want to say out, but if they're in a hole a couple weeks down the line, and Jacoby Brissett you can't get past a certain point with Jacoby Brissett, that's when I think you go to Drake May. I think it's way too early to pull the trigger, especially when you lose on a short week. That always kind of skews the results for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, I understand especially in the past couple of years, we're real trigger happy to try to go for that immediate success. Hey, that shot. Sometimes, don't get me wrong. Sometimes that shock of the system will get everything going, and now we're firing on cylinders. You look at Carolina. Maybe was Andy Dalton, was this one game? Was his showing good for him, or was he going to stick
Yeah.
out? So it's hard to say. It's a risk, or a high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Yep. Oh no, yeah, definitely. So going on, we had the two playoff hopefuls meeting in New Orleans. The Eagles squeak out a win against the Saints, 15-12. This was another game where you kind of looked at the Eagles. There were AJ Brown still dealing with injury, and you look at the Eagles right now and say, okay, the Eagles go where Saquon goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where they're finding their identity is on the back of Saquon. Where we're really, I think they're really going to depend on him going down. Which, don't get me wrong, can also let Jalen also free up and make those big plays when he needs to. Free up that. But yeah, I think they're really going to be transitioning to, we're going to put it on his back, and we're going to run this a lot.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, this was something that the Eagles really didn't have last year, was a solid threat on the ground. You looked at Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and even like guys like Dallas Goedert, who, okay, you could get them the ball in the air, but if you had to make the Eagles run, in fact, they had to change. I remember them changing mid-game to the run when a team keyed in on their pass, and the only reason they got it done was because they weren't prepared for the Eagles to run. But they're a definite threat on the ground with Saquon Barkley now. And their defense to me is still a little bit leaky, but and you can still tell there's some tension between there's some dysfunction in the organization. I would still say you're still kind of seeing it being worked through with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. But this is a team everyone agrees is a drop pass away from being 3-0. And I'm hesitant on the Eagles because I did pick them to win the division, but they're a team they're either going to win the division or they're going to pull what they pulled last year and collapse down the stretch.
Yeah, I think I think a lot has to be said for that defense, and because again, I think what they have, like six turnovers in these, like 2 a game.
Yeah,
No,
no, they're doing really well.
I think so. I think the defense is hold him in there when when Jalen makes those. He's made some not some great throws and had some fumbles. So I think he's they're recovering from those. So I think it really shows a testament to them for sure that they're keeping them in these games and getting the win.
Yeah. Now we'll say this, and as far as turnover differential goes, the Eagles are -4. They're second to last from the bottom in a turnover differential. So they are, they are having some issues taking care of the ball, but they're making up for it with explosive offense.
Yeah.
So to me, the Eagles still feel really unsteady, but unless if this Jaden Daniels game was just a one-time deal, I could sit here and comfortably say the Eagles are still the best team in that division. But with Jaden Daniels playing the way that he played, and if he can consistently play like that, man, the Eagles might have a threat. And those games are going to be telling when they finally play.
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, I think I've said that, divisional games, no matter how good you are, division games are always the scariest, man.
Yep.
Because those are the teams you play twice a year. Those are the teams you played the most. And those games can always, really hurt you and expose a bunch of things that you really don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. No. So moving on, we've got Lions and Cardinals. The Cardinals coming off the big game last week where they dropped 40 points on the Rams. Play the Lions at home, and they played them close for the most part. This was a closer game than I thought it would be. Kyler Murray and Jared Goff kind of duking it out. But, the Lions, again, to me, they were just the better team. And they were the better coach team. I think they were just the better. This was a case of the Lions are ahead of where the Cardinals are. The Cardinals, again, to me, this is they still need another year.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Lions did a real good job of slowing Kyler Murray down. I
Mhm.
think they did a real good job of not letting them, get explosive real quick and go. So I think the Lions really showed that, hey, we may have lost to Tampa, but we bounced back. I think they took it real well and showed that, hey, we are a playoff team, and we were again right there almost at the Super Bowl last year. I think they had a great game plan.
I like this dual threat that the Lions have on the ground. You know, Montgomery and Gibbs almost split carries evenly. And they both almost got 100 yards in the game. You know, Montgomery got 105, Gibbs got 83. Montgomery gets the touchdown. But, you know, you're looking at another solid game from Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other side. Five receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Murray having a touchdown and an interception. And I mean, just looking up and down this game. I mean, the Lions are just right now they're the better team. You know, they're just they're just punching in a different weight class than the Cardinals are. Not saying that now. I didn't think I would be saying this year that the Cardinals are looking like a team that could get there. They're looking like a team that could take the path that the Lions took, going from the bottom to maybe next year or by the end of the year, by the end of this year or maybe or next year, people are saying, "Oh man, you know, watch out for Arizona."
Yeah, I mean they can. I think as this team really starts to gel together and again they showed it against Buffalo, in that first week, like they can be real explosive.
Mhm.
And if they can stay explosive from the beginning and get ahead, I think they could stay ahead. I think with this, with the Lions being able to shut them down though, that's how they overcome that and how they get their rhythm back going to get the game in their hands.
Yeah, definitely. Move on to the Sunday night game. Chiefs Falcons. This one, of course, ended on some controversy with the a lot of people saying that there was a blatantly missed pass interference call in the end zone that would have probably given the Falcons the win. This is another close game um, for the Chiefs. You know, I would almost say it was a close call. The Falcons played another good game. Kirk Cousins had 230 yards, touchdown and interception. Mahomes 2 touchdowns and an interception. Not putting up a lot of yards. The Chiefs kind of still get it done with the more balanced attack with Isaiah Pacheco being out. Carson Steele takes over. He had a good game. But Mahomes still just I mean, he's playing really well. The Chiefs all together as a team are still, you know, the favorites in my book, but this just doesn't seem like a banner year for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, like, it's solid football. They're making solid good choices, but it doesn't seem like the dynamic team we kind of saw last year. The last couple of games have kind of been, you know, we made it out, and it wasn't a dominant kind of win that we were kind of expecting, or they were even showing like, oh, this is why we're back to back Super Bowl champs. I think there's something, I'm not sure what it is, with them, but they're not seeming as explosive and dynamic as they have been. It just seems like, hey, we're doing enough to not lose. We're not really going for huge wins right now.
Yeah, although it could just be typical Kansas City, where okay, like you said, they're doing enough to get the wins, they're doing enough to stay ahead and keep their not look like they're going completely underwater, and then bam, they flip that switch later on in the year, and all of a sudden, man, here come the Kansas City Chiefs, right, roaring towards another Super Bowl. Which, if I'm being honest, this is almost reading off that script, you know, because last year they got off to a slow start with the loss of the Lions. They had a couple games where just they did not look like they were in touch. All the Kadarius Toney drops, that kind of trend was going on. Um, but I will say this about the Chiefs: they are flashing Xavier Worthy a little bit more, and that still makes them a very scary team. And if the Chiefs are kind of letting it out a little bit at a time until they get to December, January, and then all of a sudden they just let Xavier Worthy off the chain, that's scary. And that's a team that if that ends up coming together, I don't see how you beat the Chiefs and stop them from becoming the first three-peat Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I think that Worthy's been real dynamic. Rice had a great game. I think he had a great game for him. I don't think we've seen a whole lot of, even all 3 games, we haven't seen a whole lot of, Kelsey, he's made some plays when he's need to, but he hasn't really made those, those big plays. But I think, between Worthy and Rice right now, man, those guys are really their Mahomes' targets.
Those are the 2 marks on the Chiefs this year are going to be, Pacheco going down, and I believe they're saying he might be down for the year. And then, of course, Kelsey's looking very much like an old, washed-up player who's just kind of enjoying his time in Hollywood now. Either that, or he looks like the player that took the offseason to go globetrotting with his billionaire superstar girlfriend, which I don't blame him on that. But I mean, yeah, Travis Kelce looked all of a sudden in these first 3 games, Travis Kelce looked very old. He just does not look dominant like he used to. But the scary part about the Chiefs is you've got these young guys stepping up. Like you said, Rice and Worthy and Steele, and it doesn't all have to be on Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes like it was last year. So, I believe the Chiefs, let me see who they play this. Oh, they play the Patriots. No, that's the Niners. I don't believe the Chiefs have a hard game this week.
They're playing the Chargers.
Chargers. Okay. Yeah, we were going to preview that one too. We'll get to that one, once we get the game previews. That one's going to be interesting because of the Harbaugh aspect of it. The Chargers have had a pretty solid defense this year. Moving on, so we go to the most lopsided game of the weekend. The Bills just poured it on the Jaguars. We were talking, I was talking in the group chat with a couple of my friends this morning. And we were just talking about what is going on with the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Like, why did this happen? And the Jaguars all season just have not looked good at all. They have not looked prepared. They have not looked cohesive. They have not looked like they've had an identity. We put up Trevor Lawrence's stats for the year. I think he's barely thrown for 500 yards. He's got a QBR below 50. He's got a 53% completion percentage. He's got only 2 touchdowns and an interception. And this is a Jaguars team that actually on paper looks like it has a lot of talent. ETN and Bigsby and Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis and they draft Brian Thomas. They're supposed to have a solid defense. You think that they have a good coach in Doug Peterson who won a Super Bowl, but Buffalo just came in and ran them off the field.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure what happened in the water in Jacksonville, but something happened. They went from last season and then they had that kind of midseason fall apart and they've just haven't recovered since.
They've only won 1 game since then. Only 1.
Yeah.
I believe it's like 1-9.
Golly. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure what's happened in Jacksonville, but with the promise and what we were looking at in Trevor Lawrence, that candle has gone out.
Yeah,
and it's
there's a lot of questions about Trevor Lawrence. This was supposed to be the year that he kind of proved everybody wrong. He was supposed to, at least. A lot of people thought, this was the year that, oh man, here come the Jaguars. And, we were asking, what is the Jaguars' identity? And I said, making excuses for Trevor Lawrence. Because at this point, they're running out. Doug Peterson, we thought that Dave Canales was going to be the first coach fired, and then Andy Dalton saved his ass. Now it's really looking like Doug Peterson might be the first coach fired.
Yeah, I mean, unless they can figure out something. But I don't know what they can do at this point. They got Lawrence some weapons to make that better for him, and it's been rough to watch, man. A team that kind of had had that potential just really has dropped it for sure.
Well, and now you get the rumors like it dropped. I got the alert on my phone maybe about an hour and a half before the show started, where hey, Jags could be looking into Bill Belichick, and I don't know. Like you saw what happened with Urban Meyer, and just how he came in and kind of wanted to be the hard ass coach that wanted to control everything, and now you're going to bring in Bill Belichick. I'll say this: if they fire Doug Peterson, they need to fire their GM as well, because he's giving out bad contracts. You're stuck with Lawrence. He just signed that huge extension. You're stuck with Lawrence. So somebody's going to have to get him right. Otherwise, again, it's the same Jaguars, though. We were talking about every time the Jaguars take a step forward, they take 3 steps back, collapsing after making the AFC Championship, winning a playoff game a couple years ago, and getting up on the Chiefs before falling apart, starting 8-3, and then falling apart again last year. The Jags just cannot. It feels like they are not built to sustain success.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think a lot of questions have to go up from management on down, because it's even if you bring a guy like Belichick in, the way the team is now, the way it is, I just don't. I mean, I think it would take him a year and a half to get it going. So I don't know what kind of immediate impact a Bill Belichick's even is going to bring into this.
No, I mean, now don't get me wrong. I mean, Doug Peterson did bring in a almost immediate impact over Urban Meyer. In fact, the interim coach brought in an immediate impact over Urban Meyer. So maybe taking a year off for Belichick and then coming back to a quarterback that, not gonna lie, not saying he's garbage, but he does have he's not showing the talent, that he's not living up to the potential everyone thought he had. Belichick could find a way to get it out of him, but they need to find an identity. They need to find, they need to get Etienne and Bigsby really going. I think those are your best players that you could lean on. But I don't know. We'll see with the Jaguars. They got to win sometime.
Yeah, so, I don't know if that's gonna happen in Houston though this week. So
no. I don't think it is either. Well, those were the reactions to the main games that we had on the slate for the weekend. Now it's time to go 3 up and 3 down. Where we pick, we kind of pick 3 people that we want to highlight for the week that did really well, and then 3 people that we just kind of want to pile on. And it could be anything. It could be people, teams, anything, kind of anything we want. Before we get to 3 up, 3 down, I want to thank my sponsor, the Phone Medic of Amarillo, Canyon, and Lubbock. Host Curtis Brown, you're a victim of your surroundings and circumstance. It feels like Trevor Lawrence is in that situation. Definitely gotta shout out the sponsor real quick. Phone Medic of Amarillo, Canyon, and Lubbock. For all your tech needs, go find Gabe at any one of those 3 locations. Gaming consoles, PCs, laptops, tablets, and more. He'll fix them. He'll get you hooked up with a new one. And also, guys, like, share, subscribe. Extra Point on YouTube, or Extra Point on Facebook. Justice8908 on Twitch, Ryan Justice on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, get those notifications on. We are almost halfway to 50 on Twitch. So once we get to that 50, we can start doing affiliate stuff and exclusive stuff on Twitch. We can throw out some subscribers, giveaways, all that kind of stuff. But we got to get to 50 on Twitch. So go hit that like button on Twitch. My host for last week, Curtis Brown, like he said, you're a victim of your surroundings and circumstances. Feels like Trevor Lawrence is in that situation. I want to respectfully disagree, because he's got pieces put around him. Like, I feel like any young quarterback coming into a situation where you've got 2 good receivers in Kirk and Gabe Davis, a developing young receiver in Brian Thomas, a solid bona fide tight end that has won you games in Evan Ingram, even though he's hurt right now, 2 really good running backs, a defense that has performed well. I don't know. I don't know if I want to count that as surroundings and circumstances, because they did build this team, and they did. It seems like they've had success, but just something seems like it's holding back Trevor Lawrence from being the elite quarterback everyone thought he could be. So we'll watch it. And Curtis, shout out Curtis Brown, man, one of my favorite step-in co-hosts. Hopefully we get all 3 of us on for the Super Bowl. That would be fun. So, but 3 up, 3 down. Our first up is going to be Saquon Barkley. Again, the Eagles go where Saquon goes. 17 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Saints.
Yeah, I think it just showed that they're really, that the money spent to get him from the Giants was worth every penny because
Mhm.
he is definitely the reason the reason they've won these games. I think he's going to continue to show why he was worth it. And man, like you said, wherever he goes, that's where they're following, and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, Saquon's been a complete game changer for the Eagles, and if he keeps playing like this, I think he's going to have a career year. I think he's going to have an absolute just monster year with Philadelphia, and he's got to be the most dominant player in that division right now. But if he keeps racking up games, and then imagine what's going to happen once they get AJ Brown fully healthy. That's what I'm saying. The Eagles got to ride a little bit of a dip. I get there's been some dysfunction and some woes, but Saquon Barkley is the guy that's going to get you through them. It seems like so. There we go. Yeah, Saquon is saving Nick Sirianni's job right now. I
Absolutely.
completely 100% agree that Saquon is saving Nick Sirianni's job. Next on the up list, we're gonna go with Malik Willis. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect the performances that we got out of Malik Willis these last couple weeks. Matt LaFleur, he should be right there with him, but I want to give it to Willis because he was written off pretty quick in Tennessee. And for him to go out and have that type of performance, 275 total yards of offense, rushing touchdown, passing touchdown, hats off to Malik Willis this week.
Yeah, absolutely. For a guy who has to come in and take over a pretty, in the spotlight's going to have to take over for a Jordan Love that got hurt in that first game and really show, hey, you're the guy. You're going to have to step up and get us through this period where until Love is back up and going. And man, he's looking all right for sure. Looks like he's going to be able to hold it down.
I'm not gonna lie, he's making me look stupid because I had written off the Packers. I was sitting there going, man, if Jordan Love has to be out, if he has to go on IR and he's out for a while, I mean, the Packers could end up 0-5, and they've won 2 in a row. So hats off. And Malik Willis, a lot of people are saying, man, he should start against the Vikings this week. Give Jordan Love one more chance to rest. I don't know up against that defense, but I don't think it's a bad idea because if he keeps playing like this, I mean, and he minimizes his mistakes, Packers could have a real chance at upsetting this weekend.
Yeah, I think in both, he hasn't had any interceptions yet. So I think in these first two games, he's handled the ball real well. He's made good decisions. And yeah, I think, one more week against a really scary Minnesota defense, let's not throw Love back in there and get pummeled again.
Get him
So
hurt.
I think it's a smart thing to hold him out at least one more week and see what he can do. And, I think it's only a benefit.
All right. Well, our top of the mountain this week, Andy, this one might hurt a little bit, but our top of the mountain this week is going to go to the LA Rams and the comeback victory they had over San Francisco. They got down, but man, LA came back and that was a heck of a game. The injuries just kind of mounting up for both teams, and anytime I see San Francisco and the Rams playing that week, I know it's going to be a game that you kind of got to keep your eyes on because those teams play each other hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's no stopping. I think it's always been that way when we played these last few seasons. Every time we play, it's like, man, it's going to come down to the very last of it, and whoever has more gas in the tank is going to win it. And it showed that we got tired. They kept going. They pushed through. They're down in the third quarter and made it all back. But man, it was a great comeback by the Rams to go ahead and get that win.
Especially with, because I feel like they were missing more pieces than the Niners were. Now, don't get me wrong, the Niners are missing some key pieces with Debo and CMC, but they're missing Puka and Cooper Kupp. So, I mean, those are arguably, their top two weapons. Kyron Williams played, he's played really well, but again, it can't be all on his back. This was, Matt Stafford played well in this game too. So, but yeah, got to give them credit. They got to be the top of the mountain for that comeback this week. Well, we went 3 up, and now we are going to go 3 down. This one, I'm not gonna lie, Andy. You missed my rant last week. This one might trigger another one. First up on the down list, the Texans O line. I didn't want to put, I was had hope in week one against the Colts. The Bears, I was like, okay, they're a solid defense, so I could see them giving some trouble, but there was no excuse for what was going on with the Texans O line this weekend. There was no excuse for Larry Tunsil having 3 straight pre-snap penalties to take a third and 4 and make it a 3rd and 19. 11 penalties, 88 yards. They had about the same for over 100 the week before. A lot of them coming pre-snap. And I'm not going to lie. Look, okay, we'll get into this. Laramie Tunsil doesn't practice in training camp. He's too much above it. He is the only offensive lineman that I think I have seen that is more interested in his social media and his social gatherings and what he is wearing and being more Hollywood and being the most paid tackle in the league than he is about actually getting in there and doing the damn work that you need to do to win a game. The Texans are Super Bowl contenders. They are considered Super Bowl favorites in some cases. This crap does not need to happen. Laramie Tunsil is a Pro Bowl left tackle, and he gives up in the run game. There's an all-22 film of Cam Akers almost getting killed and having to put somebody in the spin cycle because Laramie Tunsil just gave up. I am all for, look, if Laramie doesn't get his crap together, I am all for benching him. I don't care how much you're paying this guy. There's $188 million in this offensive line. And the fact that they're on pace to allow your franchise quarterback, a guy who a lot of people are putting in the MVP conversation, they're on pace to allow him to get sacked 50 plus times. You can't get the run game going unless Joe Mixon is there to save your ass. In the Colts game, Mixon had 101 yards after contact. Unacceptable. I get you have Jacksonville this week, and it better be a get-right game because after that, you've got Buffalo coming to town. And if you want to be taken, I am so sick and tired of the Texans not being taken seriously for this crap. If they want to be taken seriously in this league, if they want to actually be looked at as Super Bowl contenders, clean this crap up.
Yeah, it was it was definitely hard to watch, especially that first half of, they were in field goal range. I mean, you even saw it in the ref was like, yeah, another one. He was tired of calling them at that point. It was a rough thing to watch that whole offensive line really just to take themselves out of the game like that.
This is a team that should be one of the most explosive teams in the league. Their pass protection sucks. This offensive line can't. We were protecting better with 3rd and 4th string guys last year. With your right tackle playing left guard. I don't get it. And I really hope this is the last contract the Texans give Laramie Tunsil. And I really hope Blake Fisher steps in and develops real soon to be left tackle because I'm tired of hearing about Laramie Tunsil not wanting to practice. ESPN Houston was talking about a story where they had to negotiate with Laramie Tunsil to get him to practice. This needs to stop. D'Amico Ryans, CJ Stroud need to get in his ass and get him on the field and get him right because that was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was definitely a rough one for sure.
I was sitting. You should have seen me at Buffalo's on Sunday. I was sitting there miserable.
I knew it. That's why I had to wait to text you. I was like, "Oh man, I can't text. I can't say nothing at first because I didn't want you to
Don't worry, you didn't need to say anything because I had Braden, the Jaguars fan, chirping in my ear the whole time.
I bet you did.
And then Karma turned around and got him. Well, that was my turn to rant. Andy, I may let you get in on this one. Next up on the down list, San Francisco, man. Letting the Rams come back, letting that happen 2 weeks in a row where I get injuries, but the Niners have just kind of let it go.
Yeah, it's been a lot in question for sure of we understand that there's a lot of injuries happening right now, everything on the offense and a little bit on the defense. But yeah, we can't let games go like that. We can't. It just makes it in that same vein of like, can Kyle Shanahan, one, can he hold a lead? That's in question, and two, can he make a comeback? And both of those are still very much in question. Unless we have it seems like unless we get ahead and get wildly ahead, we're okay. And I thought we were going to be okay against the Rams because we were wildly ahead, and then we just let it go at the end. And it's rough to see, man. It's rough to see this team. I know Brock went and was having an MRI, done on his back. He was having some nagging injuries. I mean, at this point, I think McCaffrey's going to Germany to find, to see if he can get healthy. I know Kittle was hurt. It's just we spent all this money, we had all this hype, and then we're really letting all the wind out of the sails for sure early, and it's rough to see this team that should be contending for a Super Bowl looking so rough to begin with.
Yeah, and even when they had everyone available, I mean, I get you had the first game against the Jets, which they were pretty rusty. You run into the buzzsaw defense that is now the Vikings. I mean, I almost could excuse the Vikings loss because you're banged up. You're playing against a really good defense. You don't have your best player. You don't have two of your best players out there, especially one that could be a complete X factor in this offense. And you're up against a Vikings defense that is just absolutely relentless. For me, there was no excuse for this game. This should have been a game where your guys should have carried you through it because the Rams got absolutely run out of the building last week. And
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a Niners fan, I'm not happy about this.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Again, I understand. And again, like you said, they have more, scout team guys on the team right now because they're more hurt than we are, and they still somehow made a comeback. So it's a rough thing to see that once it's like we get shaken, we get comfortable, and these guys who are still if you want to let me know where Brandon Ayuk is to make a play where we spend all that money, I'd love for someone to come tell me. Because again, I can spend a lot of money too and not have any results for it just as easily. So please, somebody needs to step up. I know we had Jennings Juwan Jennings who stepped up and had a good game. He had that. He's he really stepped into that with Debo out and everyone else. He was the one who stepped up and I think he got 3 touchdowns. So, but yeah, we can't. Our defense can't be blowing those kind of leads against a hurt team like that, because good teams are going to kill us from the get-go.
And you would think the Niners know how to deal with injury. With all the times they've lost their starting guy for the season, put somebody in and actually remain competitive. I don't think it'll derail their season. We'll see how the Purdy thing goes. But it's definitely one to keep an eye on with the Niners. This week, though, I think this is a first. 2 weeks in a row, but moving up from the down list into the Factory of Sadness. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of say this one with a smile on my face. This week's Factory of Sadness goes to Will Levis. Boy, I mean, Levis has just absolutely, we may have lost Andy. Will Levis has just absolutely turned in some embarrassing performances for the Titans. You had the ball, it's almost like, okay, which Will Levis blooper are we going to get this week? Levis has the bowling blooper. He throws another two interceptions, just boneheaded interceptions, 8 sacks. Okay, he put up a lot of yards, but the Titans, I'm not going to lie, I'm at the point, if I'm a Titans fan, sit Will Levis. Will Levis needs to be sat down. And at this point, he could cost Brian Callahan his job. But he had flashes last year, but that was under a really, a head coach that had been a number 1 seed in the AFC and been to the AFC Championship. But Brian Callahan, rookie head coach, and you've got a receipt. You had a quarterback coming in that had a lot of questions about him already. So this week, Factory of Sadness goes to Will Levis. I mean, he is absolutely just a disaster for the Titans, and they may get they may get number one pick, I would say almost with this would being this bad. And I don't know. There's not a whole lot of quarterbacks in this class that I would want to look at if I'm a Titans fan. We're gonna work to get Andy back here in a second. But we're gonna move on to buy or sell. I'm gonna throw a take out, and guys, if in the comments, y'all let me know too if y'all want to buy or sell some of these takes that we got going on right now. So one thing that I've kind of been interested in is this Denver Broncos Bo Nix experiment that they got going on. It's looked like it all came together this week with Bo Nix. He goes 25 to 36, 216 yards, no touchdowns, but he looked a lot better this week than he did in the previous week. So buy or sell, you guys can let me know in the comments too. Did Bo Nix turn the corner this week? Are we seeing Bo Nix finally start to put it together? I know a lot of people are saying we did with Jaden Daniels, but are we seeing it with Bo Nix too? I want to hesitantly sell this because I think, there was some marked improvement from Bo Nix in this game. There was some times where I was like, okay, Bo Nix is starting to get it. Sean Payton may have been right, but I wanted to see him score. I wanted to see him get the touchdown going. I wanted to see him get this offense up and running. And don't get me wrong, they played a really good game against Tampa, who had been on a roll as of late. But I want to hesitantly sell this on the premise that I need to see more out of Bo Nix. I need to see another game like this. I need to see another game that Bo Nix is going to be okay with Sean Payton. That Sean Payton made the right decision. It wasn't just an ego decision, but he looked good. But again, I'm going to hesitantly sell on has Bo Nix finally turned the corner. I need to see more. Moving on, next buy or sell, Andy Dalton. Boy, guys, if y'all saw me last week, y'all heard how I felt about Bryce Young getting benched and Andy Dalton coming in to start. This was a almost night and day difference with how this team played with Andy Dalton coming in and being the quarterback. And this is against the Raiders team that went in and kind of punched Lamar Jackson in the face. And it has to, you've got Max Crosby on that defensive line across from you. So, I mean, I'm again, Andy Dalton should start, I think, the rest of the year, most of the year. I don't want to see Bryce Young again. Bryce Young, we were talking about, the big conversation of should rookie quarterbacks start? Should young quarterbacks sit? Bryce Young should have been a guy that sat and saw, okay, this is what the NFL really is like. I don't know how much is left in the tank in Andy Dalton. I mean, after that performance, you could say he might be this year's Joe Flacco, but he's got to string a few together for me to really solidify that. But I am buying Andy Dalton should start the rest of the year. If Carolina wants to have a chance at not being a complete embarrassment, keep the vet in. Let Bryce Young see how it's done. Let Bryce Young go in and really soak in everything Andy Dalton has to learn, because he's a quarterback that went to the playoff multiple years in a row. Andy Dalton's been there. Andy Dalton's played in some big games and won some big games. So, Andy Dalton needs to be the starting quarterback in Carolina the rest of this year. Next up, buy or sell. Has Joe Burrow peaked? Have we seen the best of Joe Burrow? Was the Super Bowl that they lost the best we're going to get out of Joe Burrow? We could be talking about, hey, there's contracts, there's, dysfunction in the organization, injury. But what I saw last night, Burrow played really well and then got outplayed by Jaden Daniels. The Bengals are notoriously slow starters, but they're 0-3. And they're 0-3. They look like a team that hasn't been well prepared. They look like a team that's starting to get to the end of their rope. I get, they're looking to re-sign Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins on the franchise tag. I believe Burrow just signed his extension. And it may be too early. You know, it might just be one of those years. There we go. Now we got Andy back. There we go, Andy. Oh, we're going cell phone this time. So,
Yeah.
so we're on buy or sell right now. Buy or sell, has Joe Burrow peaked?
For this season, he has.
Yeah.
Man, poor dude, man. Just I know he's trying to, not only play game manager, but he's also trying to play people manager. Trying to keep guys on the field, keep their cools, not cost them games. But man, Joe Burrow's not. He's not having a good one. That's for sure.
Yeah. No. I mean, the game last night was the best game I think he had played all year. And of course, everyone knows like the Bengals are slow starters, but they've lost quite a few pieces. And I don't know. He signed the extension. I want to wait and see a little bit more. I want to see if the Bengals do what they normally do and then get hot in the middle of the year. But if they don't, man, I think the book might have been written that, hey, I don't know if Joe Burrow can get back with the way that this team is being run. So, I got the other two buy or sells out of the way. It was, and I'll ask you this and we'll go back. Buy or sell. So did Bo Nix turn the corner this week?
Man, I think we kind of saw what Sean Payton was selling Bo Nix to make him, to go with him. So I don't know if he's totally turned that corner, but he's looking like he's on that, he's on the right path to. I think he looks solid.
That's what I said. I kind of hesitantly sold it because I want to see him do this again. And it's kind of like Jaden Daniels. Like if you were to ask me the same question about Jaden Daniels, okay, he had a really good game, but I'm going to hesitantly sell this because I want to see him do this kind of on a consistent basis and be this good on a consistent basis. The other one was buy or sell. Should Andy Dalton start the rest of the year?
I mean, I think so. I mean, he had a good game for you. I mean, he's proven that he can have good games. So I think you got to give him a shot. At least start him next week. If you start for the rest of the year, it can't get any worse than it was. I mean, you saw what it was beforehand, so it can't do any worse than that for sure.
And he essentially saved Dave Canales' job. Like I feel like if they'd have lost that game, and again it was against a team that went in and punched Baltimore in the mouth. But if they'd have lost that game, man, yeah, I'd started saying, okay, it's time to start thinking about. It's time for Dave Canales to start brushing up his resume. So that's buy or sell. We're gonna go ahead and get into game previews. The lines that I've gotten were from today, provided by ESPN Bet. So we start with Thursday night. Dallas goes to New York. They come in as 6-point road favorites, both 1-2 teams. Both teams with a bevy of problems, but the Cowboys have lost 2 in a row. The Giants are coming off an impressive win. Short week for both teams. What are we kind of expecting here out of the Meadowlands?
I think going into the Meadowlands, I think Dallas, may not have. I mean, they couldn't really get it done at home, so how are you supposed to get it done away? I just don't, I think right now there's just so much dysfunction in Dallas. I just don't know if they can keep it together as they go play New York. I know the money is, to go with the Cowboys, but I don't know if they have it in them right now. I think they have a lot of questions they got to answer first.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Dallas has been very bad stopping the run. Devin Singletary has been starting to get going. The Browns didn't play bad last week. Deshaun Watson didn't play bad. They got 8 sacks on him. Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau look like they're starting to turn the heat up. And of course, Malik Neighbors, he's emerging as a threat. A lot of people are saying Malik Neighbors might be saving Daniel Jones's job. So I don't know. Like, excuse me, I'm just starting to get the weather change, man. But I don't know. The Giants just seem like they may have the momentum here. Then I've got the Giants, and I imagine that's who you're going with too.
Yeah.
Man, and if I'm a Cowboys fan and they go in and lose to the Giants, there's going to be some problems in Dallas.
I mean, we've already started to see the Cowboy memes coming. If they lose, if they go in and they drop this one to New York, I just don't. Where are you going? I mean, you're gonna have to play them again later. It's not a good look
On
for them, you know.
Thanksgiving. Is the
Yeah. Oh,
se- is the season
yeah.
over if they lose to New York?
Man,
You're a
it's
quarter
not
of the way
looking.
through at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna be able to in the words of Joe Exotic, I don't know if they're gonna financially recover from this.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, definitely. Moving on. So we go to probably the hottest team in the league right now, going to Green Bay, probably the most resilient team in the league right now. Green Bay is 2.5-point home favorites. Minnesota, that's surprising to me with how well Minnesota has played and the fact that Green Bay probably going to be going into this one without Jordan Love. This honestly could be a really good game. And if Love does come back, this could be an even better game. But I don't know. I think that defense, no matter what, is going to bully around that Packers offense.
Yeah, I think, man, they have the answers right now. Minnesota's they're on fire. How right now they're not the favorite in this game is a wild thing for sure. I think they're showing, in their last three that hey, they're coming out for blood and they're gonna find that hole in the Packers. Especially without Jordan Love, I think that defense is gonna make a hard day. It's gonna be a real hard game for Willis for sure.
Yeah, I think this might be the game Willis kind of turns back into a pumpkin and really gets beat up. So I'm both in agreement here on this one. We got the Vikings this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. So again, we mentioned this one. Here's the thing too: is the first three games we've all picked have been division games, sir. Crazy thing about Thursday Night Football, they've all been division games too. Their first three games have all been division games. But our next division game, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs going to, the place that says they're the home of the Los Angeles Chargers, SoFi Stadium. 8.5-point road favorites. Harbaugh against Andy Reid. He gets his first crack at the defending Super Bowl champions. Chargers have played really good defense as of late. Quentin Johnston has started to come on, but the big question here, Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. Haha, see what I did there.
I did.
If Justin Herbert doesn't go, I mean, we're tilting this one towards KC.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't go, I mean, it's already tilted towards KC. Again, they've showed, very solid football. Again, maybe it's not dynamic like we were hoping or expecting, but it is good football that they've been playing. And against a team that you've seen some glimmers of life, but again, especially without Herbert, then you might as well just rack it up and send them on their way.
Chiefs and the points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still see it not. I don't see it not happening right now.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, 8.5. Yeah, they may beat that. It may be higher than 8.5 on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of high scores, Baltimore hosts the Bills. They are 2.5-point home favorites, which is surprising to me considering they're 1-2. And Baltimore has not played well at all this season in some cases. That offensive line is a huge concern. And they're going up against a Buffalo team that massacred Jacksonville last night. And honestly looks like the best team in the AFC right now. A lot of people are saying Josh Allen is the front runner for the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, if the Bills keep playing like they have been, again, the Ravens, a tough loss, a close call in the first, against the Chiefs, and then almost let the Cowboys come back and win it. They're not going to have that luxury with this Buffalo Bills team that is on fire right now. That is just dominating. They're out for blood. They've been so close. They haven't made it to the ball, and they're trying to get there. They're trying to get there as quickly as they can, and it's really shown these last 3 games for sure.
If they build a lead, they can't coast like they tried to do against the Cowboys because Buffalo will get them. Buffalo will get right back in them. What they've been able to do with James Cook and how dangerous they have made him has definitely changed the game for Baltimore. And it's made Josh Allen look a lot better too. But it's safe to say, again, another one we're in agreement on. Both of us got the Bills in Baltimore this week.
Yeah, again, like you said, Baltimore hasn't looked great. You know, they've kind of looked, you know, again, if they get that lead, if they slack, it's over. And if they can't get a lead, I don't know if they're making a comeback on them.
No, definitely.
So I mean, it's not, you know, these past 2 games, it's not looking good for them for sure.
If the Bills blow out the Ravens? What do you think?
Oh man,
'Cause
one,
I think it could happen.
if they blow them out, then you know, you asked if is Dallas' season's over. It might be also for the Ravens. Like you just can't you can't let, if you want to be that playoff team, like you know, again, like you want to be
You got to
with,
be a
you know,
team like
Lamar,
this.
with Lamar and Henry making these plays, you're gonna have to beat a team. You're gonna have to see them in you know, December and January. So you might as well get ready to, you know, beat them now.
Yep, I definitely agree. This one, the other ones that we got going Monday night, one of the 2 Monday night games. This one might be the best game of the week. Seattle going to Detroit, which is a hard place to play the Lions. Lions open up as 3.5-point favorites at home. Seahawks have been a quiet team. They're a quiet 3-0. Not really, you know, of course, you got all the usual suspects there. Geno Smith is playing well. Mike McDonald's doing well as a coach. But I don't hear a lot of buzz about Seattle, even though they're 3-0.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the I think with the loss of Pete Carroll, and you know, this team really not sure where they were going to be, they decided to go with Geno Smith. I think that a lot of people wrote him off and forgot about him, you know, because especially in the West, when hey, we're looking at we're supposed to see a dominant San Francisco team. We're supposed to see, you know, an up and coming, Cardinal team, you know, Rams in there. People are writing off the Seahawks, but man, they are, like you said, they are quietly coming after everybody. When I was looking, I was like, man, I can't believe they're one of the 5 3-0 teams that, you know, the 2 teams that surprised me were them and Pittsburgh. I was like, how did we get to this point? It's a crazy NFL season, but man, going into Detroit, that's a tough one. But man, I know everyone, they're looking real good. So if anyone can do it, you know, if they can, it might be them.
Here's the interesting part, too, is like, you know, you mentioned Pittsburgh. I think everyone's waiting for Pittsburgh to fall apart. Nobody even really realized Seattle was 3-0. We got Hawks fans sounding off in the chat. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm they're first place in the division, and it's a division that they're very much taking advantage of right now. I think even if they lose this game, they're still in first place. You're confident in the Seahawks, but man, I just cannot bet against the Lions at home, especially coming off of, you know, a game where they didn't play their best, but they did. They still managed to pull it out anyway. I think this could even be a game that I feel like goes to overtime.
I think you know, I'm in agreement. I think it's gonna be a close game for sure. You know, I don't think any team's really gonna blow them out. I think it's gonna come down to who has, you know, possibly that better 2-minute drive towards the end. You know, towards the end of the game. You know, can Goff, you know, get like he did, you know, in that home opener, and drive it down in overtime and drive it down and win the game. You know, I think it's really going to come close to it. You know, right now I think the Seahawks, you know, are quiet, and they take advantage of that because again, people aren't watching them. You know, so we don't know if Detroit's really, you know, they were able to handle able to handle Arizona, but you know, we'll see what happens.
You know, Jackson Smith and Jibbas have been having a quietly good season. So is DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to pick Seattle in this game. To me, it feels like okay, who's going to have the ball last? And Detroit has just looked so good this year. They're one of those teams that you look at and you go, man, they are in a class of their own. Or the only other team that might be occupying that class with them could be like the Chiefs and the Bills. They're that good, and they're playing that well. But that does it right now for our game previews. Guys, before we get to the extra picks, again, want to thank our sponsor for helping us out for you know, sponsoring us tonight. The Phone Medic of Amarillo, Canyon, and Lubbock for all your tech needs. If you need a phone, laptop, PC repaired, take it to Gabe at the Phone Medic. Shout out to Gabe. If you're looking for a new gaming laptop, PC, or console, or any kind of tech, Gabe can get you hooked up. Go see the Phone Medic of Amarillo, Canyon, and Lubbock. For the people, guys, thank you guys for being in the chat tonight. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe button. The Extra Point with Ryan Justice on Facebook, at Justice8908 on Twitch, Ryan Justice on YouTube. We will have the show up tomorrow on Spotify as well. Look up the Extra Point with Ryan Justice. That is something we just added within the last week, guys. So if you want to listen to us while you're working out, while you're on the drive, or go back and listen to something in the show, you can always go back and replay us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. But you can also listen to us now on Spotify. So, guys, go follow us on Spotify as well to get notified when the episode goes live. So we're at the end of the show. It's now time for the Extra Picks. We're doing this now via Prize Picks. Guys, if you haven't downloaded the Prize Picks app, where you can go download it, make yourself a little bit of extra money. But how it works is you pick whether a player is going to have more or less than a certain number of receiving touchdowns, yards, interceptions, sacks, whatever you guys want to fancy, you can put it together. Here are my Prize Picks for this week. First up, we're going Daniel Jones over 200.5 passing yards. With Malik Nabers, with Devin Singletary being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, I feel like this is attainable for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think it is. I think he's had some good weapons, and I think Dallas really showed that you can, their defense didn't really stop it a whole lot. Looks like. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got that much up on him.
Yeah, 200. I think 200.5 passing yards is very attainable for Daniel Jones. Next up, I have Nico Collins, 75.5 receiving yards in Jacksonville. This one might be my lock this week.
Yeah, I guess Jacksonville. Sure, I take that.
Yeah, I would imagine if you want to throw a kicker in, he's probably gonna have a couple touchdowns in there as well. This one for you though, Jordan Mason, over 84.5 rushing yards. Against the Patriots.
I sure hope so. Man, I definitely need to step up and get there. If we can, if we hit 100, and a couple of touchdowns, I think we're looking good.
Hey, you're hanging tough in our fantasy league this year, though, man. You got 144 points last week.
I know. I got second this week, and I think 2-1. I think I'm not doing too bad.
I was really holding on, hoping that Keon Coleman would blank again, but then the Bills just decided to unload on everybody. Well, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Extra Point. Again, like, share, subscribe at Justice8908 on Twitch, The Extra Point with Ryan Justice on Facebook, Ryan Justice on YouTube. You can also catch my wrestling matches there, too, if you guys want to check out some of those. I just uploaded another one, the No Rope Bare Knuckle Brawl, that gave me this little beauty right here. On all, a bunch of other of my archived matches too. Go check it out. Again, like, share, and subscribe. Support the channel, especially over on Twitch. We want to get to 50 over on Twitch so we can start doing maybe some cool little Thursday night stuff, some fantasy stuff, maybe some pregame, some watch-alongs. We'll figure out some really cool stuff for you guys to do, especially for those who subscribe over on Twitch. And we'll have some cool stuff for you guys as well. And again, thank you to our sponsor, the Phone Medic of Amarillo, Canyon, and Lubbock. Go check out Gabe. Go like their Facebook page. I tagged them in the comments on Facebook. So go check them out and support your local businesses. Guys, for Andrew Martinez, I'm Ryan Justice. Until next week, goodbye. Good night.